audience, he is the beast from Hollywood East, Michael the Hammer Mulligan.
Hey folks, Michael Hammer Mulligan here with Pat, the Rainmaker Schultz. What's up, Pat?
Mikey, how are you, man?
I'm awesome, good to see you. So this is exciting news for me because Pat, the first fight that I ever went to was Pat fighting. And when I went to the fight, I fell in love with the sport, and that was it. I was going to do it. My son had already been training with him, and this was our first, really go and watch. I'd never been to boxing matches, anything, so it was great. I fell in love, and I was addicted. So that's why I do this today. It was because of that. Pat, you got a fight coming up.
Yeah, so exciting. Bellator, February 28th, right around the corner.
Holy shit. Now, how long has it been since your last one?
I think it's been 3 years since I fought last, and within 5 years, I only had a couple of fights. I think 2 fights within 5 years. I was on the show, and after the show, I broke my hand, so reconstructive surgery put me out 1.5 years. I was told I was never going to fight again. So fighting now, I'm appreciative to be able to go out there and battle, but for a while I thought I wasn't going to fight, and here we are with a phone call, and it feels like the phone call was just yesterday, but it was 8 weeks ago, and now we're within 2 weeks, which is, every fighter knows that's how it goes, man. That time just comes right down the line.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. But you're healthy, you look great. What are you doing different now than you did training before?
I'm trying to stay healthy now. Before, it was really just, you got to, from week 7 to week 1, if you get hurt, you get hurt. There's nothing you can do about it. You don't want to walk out into the octagon wondering if you did everything you could do physically to get into the octagon and fight somebody. That's the only, it's a big mental game getting out there, and like I said, from week 7 to week 1 now, we're really trying to stay healthy, but with my sparring partners here at CCFA, all professional athletes, controlled sparring and stuff on the ground. We're able to dance around little injuries that I may or may not have, and we just try and stay healthy. I think is the biggest thing for this fight. It's my retirement fight. I'm 38 years old. I don't heal up like I used to. Anybody that's exactly, and certain people can understand that. So for this fight in particular, we just really want to stay healthy. At the same time, I want to be walking through the octagon knowing I did everything possible to get out there and battle for this.
Nice. Now, and they say it too, is if you do not have an injury going into the cage, you did not train hard enough.
I can't remember a fight going into the cage where I didn't have something going on, and that adrenaline, it's its own little painkiller. You walk out there and the people are going, and you got someone that really wants to take your head off, and in return you want to take their head off. For some reason your body is legitimately numb unless there's something really, really wrong. That adrenaline it's what a medicine.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's the fountain of youth.
That's another reason why I'm fighting. I can't wait, and that's what I look forward to. The anxiety, the stress, all that stuff, the nervousness just seems to disappear the second you go walking out into that cage. So I can't wait.
Yeah, and I got to say that Pat, over the last couple of years and stuff, I see him here a lot, but I haven't seen him be able to train like he's been training, and he's training with a smile on his face. Yeah. I can tell that it's a it's a release when you get to come in here and do these things. Personally, I can't do anything unless I have a goal. At the end, it's very hard to motivate, so I said I'll do Naga for my 50th birthday just to come in here, and then my shoulder goes, my knees go, I take a couple days off, come back, get abused again.
I've been trying to lose weight for the last 2.5 years. I want to go on a diet, I want to eat healthy, I want to do the right thing. And it was very, it's difficult. And then all of a sudden, with that one phone call, I think I took 15 pounds off in 2.5 weeks. So it's like you said, without that goal, without that in line, it's tough to go out and achieve something.
And the goal doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be a grappling match. It could be I want to lose that 15 pounds.
Right.
Because I remember telling Pat probably 8 years ago, I'm going to wait until I get in shape before I come into your school.
Yeah, I hear it a lot.
And there is no getting in shape before you come into the school. You have to physically come here and do it. It's just like any other sport out there. Baseball. If you go do baseball for a day and you haven't done it, you're going to hurt because you're going to work different muscles, different things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit. All right. So who is your opponent? Because
I'm fighting David Roberts. It's Rampage Jackson's business partner, best friend. They went to college together. They run Rampage Fitness together.
Wow.
And he's 35 years old. He was actually on season 7 to try and get into the house. He lost to Jeremy May.
Was that the season you were on?
That was the season I was on. So we were both, in the 32-man round robin tournament to try and get into the house. And unfortunately, both of us lost the fight to get into the house. And now it's interesting, you know, a lot of people don't know, you know, they had to pick somebody to come back into the house, and I ended up on Rampage's team. And, you know, I'm sure Rampage was kind of pulling for David Roberts to come back into the house. And,
right.
you know, the higher ups, I think Dana White and Spike Television kind of chose me to go back. So, you know, there might be a little sore spot, you know, deep down in those guys. You know, they want to come out and prove something for this fight. Like, I shouldn't be in the house. So that's a little tidbit that a lot of people don't know that I think of personally myself. And
yeah, it's a little inspiration.
I think I was almost chosen for this fight, to be honest with you. It's you know, I know.
You think that maybe Rampage's pod said down, let's get that guy.
100%.
So you were on Rampage's team and you were doing pretty good, but you ended up, I remember you holding your hand out like this, right? You smashed, you broke all the hands, so you were basically done after that.
Fought Keel Yarbrough. The first round went great, probably my best round ever. First 5 minutes that we fought, and then later in that round, I had, you know, broke my hand, reconstructive surgery. You can see the knuckle doesn't go in, the metacarpals were smashed. That's when I thought I wasn't fighting again. Doctors told me you're not going to be able to punch with this hand, you know, for a long time, let alone have a fighting career. And you know, all of a sudden, a year and a half later, I had a couple fights with some guys. I didn't really feel like I needed my right hand, and you know, went at those fights, and now it's kind of healed up. I think I can, you know, go out there and give it my all. If not, you know, in Muay Thai, I have other weapons. I got my elbows, I got my legs, I got everything, knees. So, you know, and fighting lefty, my head can certainly try and smash somebody else's
shoulders.
Yep, exactly.
So, Pat, tell me a little bit about what's going on with the school. The school has grown. You moved to Wareham. I always see the posts with the kids' classes, or when I'm coming in to train, I see tons of kids. I mean, tell me about this. How did you get
so when we first got involved, we were in an adult school for sure. You know, there's a lot of schools that I looked into and I look up to. Some people have 500, 600, 700 students, which is amazing to me. Some of these schools are more of children's schools. They have, you know, 400 or 500 kids, and me and my partner Mike Gresh had to. We knew we needed to dip into this market, not only, you know, for business purposes, but we wanted to grab kids at an early age, especially in the sport right now, like your son Shane, you know, up and coming, the future. It's just these guys, they stick with us and they're learning jiu-jitsu and learning Muay Thai at an early age. We're teaching them mixed martial arts. That's how you really can build prodigies and these potential athletes.
It's like a farm.
Exactly, 100%. You know, and when we started, like I said, we were in adult school, so we were picking up kids in their late teens, maybe early 20s. But Mike and myself, we knew we had to really dip into the market with kids. And we talked about it for a long time. We tried to get it going. It was a grind because, you know, we had been dealing with all these adults. But once we caught on and once we got these kids going and we acclimated ourselves to teaching kids classes, it really started to pick up. And like you said, the place has been busy with kids. Our jiu-jitsu program's going great. We got a Muay Thai class now that's going great for the kids. And, you know, we're just going around basic exercise. But with the Naga tournaments in a place for these kids to compete, it's just been great. So now we're seeing, you know, we probably have just about 20 to 30 kids on board, where back in the day we didn't have any. We had a handful, 5 or 6 kids. So with 30 kids on board, and still we're going after the adult division where we have, you know, another 60, 70, 80 adults. Things are really starting to happen around here. So it's opening those doors and getting the people in. But our kids program right now is something that we take very seriously, and we're just very happy with where it's going, and we just want to keep grinding away and getting more kids.
As a parent who had a student here, it wasn't the same then, but Pat, it was Shane and Timio, I think, were probably the 2 consistent kids for like the first year when he was building when he first opened in the school, and just the humility, the confidence, the things that they gained from going on a regular basis and becoming part of this family. I always call it family, just the way that, you know, they're treated and they treat each other was huge. You know, Shane went on to the bullying team and in the schools, and just the person that he became, just, you know, I won't say just because of this, but a lot of it was due to coming here. I see the kids all in here very respectful, very nice. The parents come and watch, and it's just it's a beautiful thing. It's a really, really nice thing. It's a lot warmer in here than on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're a team, you know, just like any other sport. These kids are only getting as good as their team, and you know, these kids are all pushing each other when they're in here, and they're very respectful, and the discipline goes a long way, and it has to do with the parents bringing them in. But you know, these kids getting better by the second in here, and it's really fun to watch a 7, 8, 9-year-old child come in here and, before you know it, you're looking at these kids, and they don't get any meaner or nicer. They got their own personalities when they walk through the door, and it's nice to see some of these kids who may be a little passive, and then all of a sudden, a year, 2, 3 years into it, you're like, these kids aren't going to get bullied. And if they do, I feel bad for the person that is bullying them, because these kids are legitimately working on chokeholds and arm bars and ankle locks and knee. I mean, they're out here competing. Where a lot of big mouths and a lot of the tough kids are just mouthy. They're not competing. They're not out there doing it, and these kids are. So it's good to see.
And the other thing about that, honestly, Shane never once. I think just that the people that knew what he did, and the person that he became through this, he wasn't the person that would ever be picked on anyways. I think that it builds the character that you build here, also gives you that kind of outgoing, I think the people that got picked on mostly were unconfident kids that don't have the confidence to stand up or hold their head up, are the ones that usually get it. And just coming here changed him and made him, that type of person that would never happen to. Speaking of kids, now when I met you, you had no kids. You have 2 boys now, right?
I have a boy and a girl.
A boy and a girl. A boy and a girl. And what is your son up to? He does a lot of
7
hockey.
and 5. My son's playing hockey, as much as possible. I was an avid hockey player growing up, and it's fun to watch him going out there. My daughter as well. We're head first into the Olympics right now, which is very exciting, and to see my kid going out there scoring goals and just enjoying the game as much as I did growing up is really what it's at. And here the weekend comes up, and my kid's got a game on Saturday or Sunday. I heard my wife say to him the other day, "You didn't have a game on Saturday," and she said, "Really wish you had a game today. I really love watching you play."
That's nice.
I heard that, and it meant a lot to me, because you can't push the kids too much, and with all the ice time you give these kids, and for them to be competitive, they really have to be skating all the time. But to know that my family and my son enjoy the game as much as they do is just really something to me. And I loved it growing up, and looking back at it, it was a family thing. The family does it. It's not just from my kid, but the whole family's out there doing it. So it's great.
All right, so that's great. So now, how do you feel as far as now you're a father, your kids are in sports, you're working with them? How did that change your perspective of the MMA, of the school, and the way you teach?
It definitely turns, as a father, as a family man, things become a lot different. The one thing I was worried about when I was having kids, I was an active fighter at the time, 7 years ago. I was worried that it was going to ruin that flame, that will to want to go out there and win, and it really did. It made me want it even more. I had more to prove. I had a 1-year-old to prove something to, who knew nothing about what I was doing yet. In my mind, that gave me everything to want.
Every basketball player, everybody out there, it's for my baby.
Exactly.
But I know. I got you.
Having the kids in that aspect of the MMA world, now with the business, you got to try and I got to put food on the table and stuff like that. So just trying to do what's right, and the discipline area that's rolling through me is going right through my kids, and I try to lead by example, so I know what I'm doing in here, and in the octagon and in class, and every day that I leave my house to come to work, I know that they see that, and I feel like I took that legacy from my old man.
It's just an honest
he was up every morning going to work and coming home, and just that's what it's about now. So being a family man is great. I love it. I love having the kids, and I love watching them, and I'm living through them as well. So,
nice.
But this last fight is for me. So
there you go. Have at it, buddy. All right. A little bit about what's going on with the heavyweight stuff. Giuliano.
Oh yeah, some exciting stuff right now in New England. With
God.
A couple close guys to this family for sure.
Yeah. So in this building right here, I've sat and watched. Well, of course, Christian Moorcraft. I rolled with him a couple of days ago in here, a week ago. Still feel it.
Yeah.
But Christian, I see in here, who is not on like the top 10 list in New England because he became a UFC fighter. He did come back from UFC and fight one fight, which he won over Randy Smith. Giuliano Coutinho, who has been with CCFA since the beginning almost, right?
Yeah.
Pretty close. Yeah. And owns his own school, the Daniel Gracie Academy. Is that what it, right? Yeah. And we have Johnny Johnson, who is the top trainer of Sit Your Tongue, who this is basically a sister school of Sit Your Tongue, right? So those 3 guys right there are the top in New England right now. I think Tyler King was supposed to be the top, and we didn't feel it was right, and he got beat by Eric
Eric Bernard, yep.
Knocked him out in the first round the other night. So that puts those three guys, especially, we'll leave Christian the white elephant because I think he's going to end up back in the UFC. If not Johnny and Giuliano, if they're not in it too. What do you think about those guys, what they got going on?
Those guys have it all at their fingertips right now, and you know, it's nice to see they've all worked so hard to get there. I remember Johnny Johnston fighting, before he started MMA, fighting Muay Thai smokers in Boston in these little clubs, and some of the most exciting fights that I've ever seen. To throw a name on with those three guys, now they're training and teamed up with Josh DEIKMAN, who's training with these guys. And to see these guys, these monsters, 260 pounds, and they're banging, very technical. Giuliano's got a different game than Johnny Johnson. Giuliano's on the ground with his jiu-jitsu, but he's learning the stand-up game with Sit-Yard Tom. Johnny Johnson, who's been banging around, like I said, in
he's what, 6-0 now?
Yeah, I think he's 5-0.
5-0,
6-0.
all
I'm thinking, and Giuliano, I think, is 6-1. And,
right.
I mean,
and I still dispute the one, just to put it out there, the one fight that Giuliano lost was, we call it the skating match fights, because all of them were canceled after Giuliano's because they were outdoor at Campanelli Field in Brockton. They were outside. The mat, the dude would come down on the field, so as soon as you walked in the ring, you were down.
It was just a slip and slide, and I think
it was awful.
You know, one of the things a lot of people don't recognize about that fight, not only was there mildew all over the mat, there was no commission involved back in the day.
Exactly.
You know, there was nobody to step up and say, you know, hey, you guys got to slip and slide out there.
Yeah, it wasn't a sanctioned fight. There weren't sanctioned fights in mass.
You know, I would love to see a drug test from you know, Giuliano's opponent, but you know, that's another
he's back,
story.
by the way. That guy's back around.
That guy's back around. You know, that was Giuliano's first fight. Got a bad rap on that fight, and turned around and steamrolled through his next 6 opponents. So that says a lot about who Giuliano is and what he's trying to accomplish. So
and one of his opponents was Eric Bernard, who just beat Tyler King.
Yep.
So this seats Giuliano basically in the #1 spot.
Yeah, and in Massachusetts, in New England, and in the MMA fight game, it's a small world, it's a small community, and you know, they're running into issues now. It's like, what are you going to do with Johnny Johnston, Giuliano, Josh DEIKMAN, and then Tyler King's, I guess, claiming that he's buddies with all these guys, and you know, the promoters are calling. The promoters hate it. I know the promoters hate it because it was going on back in the day. You know, they call me to fight somebody, and it's like, hey, I just left, you know, a school and I trained with this guy, and I'd rather not. And it's almost as if everybody's teammates nowadays, which can be tough for the promoters. But you know, this is on a smaller scale, and I think all of these guys that we're talking about right now, they're ready to go to the next step. They're ready to go to the next level, and you can certainly look outside of New England or outside of the U.S. for that matter if you really want to take it a step further. And I think that's a stage they're going to be fighting on soon.
Now, Pat, you just touched on Josh DEIKMAN. Now, Pat fought Josh DEIKMAN. That was Josh went way down in weight, or kind of down in weight, and Pat went way up in weight, trying to get to the level, and he was still over. Pat did great against him. He didn't walk away from the fight with a win. But the cool thing was that I watched the other night Josh and you rolling around in here. There was a time you two hated each other.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was never going to be a word. But you two, he's in here actually helping you train for the next fight.
Yep, and you know, it's another good example of how the sport works. And you know, a lot of first timers that go to the events, or you know, they come out of that event after they have never seen an MMA event. And the first thing they say is, well, that's not what I expected. I thought it would be a lot more barbaric. I didn't think the sportsmanship would be there, but it really is. You know, everybody's obviously very competitive. And Josh and I legitimately, we did hate each other at the time. And then
honestly, the hate was, a lot of it was stemmed from the hype that was being built for the fight.
Exactly, exactly. You know, we were running into each other at different shows and arguing, and the only thing for us to really do was fight. I think he was 246 pounds and I was 192 pounds. Again, there was no commission there. It was probably a bad managerial decision on my part, but it was one of the best moves I ever did. I got knocked out in 57 seconds. I felt like I had won 56 seconds of the fight and lost the critical right hand. That, you know, I woke up in the middle of the fight and saw the stool was in the middle of the ring, so I know, you know, we weren't going into the second round. But it was a pivotal moment in my career, and it's something I look back on. And walking out into my fight on the 28th, or when I was on the Ultimate Fighter against some of these tough opponents, you know, they're not 246 pounds. Josh, they're not going to be that across the ring, so it's very easy for me to do that. And you know, like you said, Josh was here a couple weeks ago, which was great. He heard I had a fight. He's on the same card, which I'm very excited about because all my fans obviously notice that he's fighting on that card. He's an exciting fighter. I had been watching him even before I fought him, and it's just great how it all works. And the advice I would give to guys that are ducking certain guys or not wanting to fight, go out and fight these guys. You're training every day anyway. You're getting beat up in the gym, and you should be getting beat up in the gym. Just go fight these guys, because it's an opportunity sitting there waiting for you. And if you go out and give it everything you have, nothing bad's going to come about that. And my fight went 57 seconds and I got knocked out. But I can tell you a million good things that happened with my fight with Josh DEIKMAN, and I don't regret that for 1 second. So.
And keep in mind, that was the first time that I saw him fight, and that's what got me into this sport, was watching that fight. He was on the card against Josh. Foley was on the card against somebody else. It was just a great night of MMA. Thank you very much, Pat. This was great. I love this. Thank you very much. We've been at this for a while now. I met him when his first school opened. I seen him training at the gym before that, and I remember going, "Who is this freaking weirdo with his hair spot? You gotta do the hair. You gotta do the hair."
If I don't, I'll probably get harassed.
Yeah, you gotta do the hair. He had the spikes. He's in the gym with the tan kicking and stuff, and that was my first impression of him. Who's this cocky bugger? But it wore off quick when I met him. What a nice guy. Folks, thanks for coming through another Fireside Chat with Michael the Hammer Mulligan and Pat Schultz. Thanks, brother. All right, man.